And here we go again. It's a gorgeous Sunday, getting ready to finish off this opening week of the championship meet here at Gulfstream Park, and a pretty shot live, in fact, at about 11:35 a.m. Eastern on this Sunday, December the 6th. Couldn't be any nicer outside once again as we set sail on a perfect weather day for thoroughbred racing. Jason Blewett, Ron Nicoletti, happy to have you with us, everybody. As Ronnie, we come off a big-time 11-race Claiming Crown program, a day in which we saw some big efforts and handled quite a bit of money.
Yeah, it was really an exciting day, and we had some, formful horses. Then we had a couple of bombers mixed in there, so it was very good. It was a great day and a great betting day. Boy, they were just sending it in.
Yeah, we want to thank everybody for contributing and combining, in fact, for a record day Claiming Crown handle of over 14, that is, $0.6 million, and appreciate everybody playing the races here at Gulfstream. As we start with the new slate, a 10-race Fast and Firm Sunday afternoon, and that first race in slightly less than 60 minutes time. You know, with this game, though, you're always looking ahead. You win the Derby, it's on to the Preakness, on to the Belmont, so on and so forth. And although yesterday was great, we do have some big races here today and some very nice turf races. We're really focused in on that second Saturday program this coming December the 12th. That'll be a day, Ronnie, as you can see, with the 4 graded stakes. And you'll have a couple of races, including that Fort Lauderdale, that basically serve as local preps for the 2 Pegasus races.
Yeah, so the Fort Lauderdale, a really nice race. We'll be drawing those races on Wednesday. And we just keep coming. It's going to be like this every weekend from now on.
Yeah, the Harlan's Holiday as well. That'll be the local prep for the Pegasus Dirt. The Fort Lauderdale serves as the prep for the Pegasus Turf, and it's all good here in Hallandale Beach. We'll dive into the opening pick 5 on the afternoon, and you've got a first race anyway. It's a difficult first race. There's just a lot going on, and evidently early in the wagering, I don't know if this is Louis Saez money, which might be the smart plan of attack with the 7 Chasm, who's currently even money. Quite a bit of guesswork. I'm more in the Safi camp to start. Used both Safi horses, Safi Joseph Jr., that is, along with the Victor Barboza Jr. firster in the 3 Work Ethic, who is by not this time. Safi Joseph Jr., once again, has the 1 company store in the second race. I think that horse is favored on the morning line, and used him along with the 8 Captain Duke. And as you can see, there's just no situation or spot I singled. Nothing too wacky in terms of a big price, although I guess I'm hoping trainer Safi Joseph Jr. has a big day because I like him in the first. I picked him in the 5th, and he's got Glitter Bay coming up, who I like quite a bit in the 7th race this afternoon. And I know your camp, Safi, Ronnie, for the first race as we bring on this crew of $50,000 to $40,000 2-year-old maiden claimers on the firm turf going 5 furlongs. And let's begin, in fact, with, of the 2 Safi Joseph Jr. trained horses, you've got, I'd say, the more intriguing one on top in the 4 Berhanu, who's a gelding, a Vesco racing stable homebred, who's getting a trainer change and obviously a little bit of a dip in class to maiden 50.
Yeah, going to Mr. Safi Joseph Jr.'s barn, drop it to the 50 level, and returning to the turf. He followed that duel and fade out and going 8.5 on the Saratoga turf with a speed-enhancing outing. I think that race is going to set him up to 6 furlongs on the good Belmont main track. You're getting Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle. Just found him pretty intriguing in here. Besides the 7 right now, very early in the wagering. He's second choice, but I think the board's going to change significantly.
And Chasm going out for J.C. Avila and Louis, who was the star yesterday, certainly in the saddle, so to speak, with 6 wins on the card. That is the first fall out of a dam who was actually pretty good on the turf. She wound up winning 4 races for about $240,000 on the grass. Safi Joseph Jr.'s other horse on the rail, the one under the covers, has Edgard, is cutting back after finding 7.5 just too far. It may sound like a paradox. I like that maiden 35 this horse is exiting out of at GPW. I think that was a pretty salty field for that time of the year over at the other track, and I'm going to take under the covers from that inside post. Let's get on to the second here, my friend. We'll hit the fast main track, and we'll stay at least, I think, in terms of a potential favorite regarding Safi Joseph Jr. and his rail post of the number 1 company store, who's way down in class, second off the layoff. I would imagine, Ronnie, with you leaving him out, you didn't like this horse's return and the fact that he is just 1 for 9 and has been more of a bridesmaid throughout his career?
Yeah, I'm going to watch one with him, and then we both ended up with Captain Duke on top of our ticket, who's has its claiming tag cut in half today and finishing second or third in 7 consecutive races at the 10 level, 12-5 levels thereabout. Jorge Delgado's got MSC El Jaramillo trying to notch the elusive second career victory. Not one of the horses I usually put on top of my ticket, but as I went through the field, he looks like the logical candidate with the drop to the $6,250 level.
Didn't love the race last time, but I'm chalking it up to a sloppy track, and that was the first ever sloppy track this gelding by Midshipman cost. And maybe to an extent, the stock, even in a lower level claiming race like this, went up a little bit when T.O. Will came back and just aired here Friday afternoon in one of the early races. We'll take the 8 Captain Duke in that second race. On to the turf for the third, and this, for me anyway, is where the card starts to pick up in terms of just intensity and speed. We'll go with a field of 7, and you've got basically 2 horses that have already run pretty well on the turf in this race, and the one, Lay Indiscret, who's on the rail for Barkley Tag, along with the 7, Take Charge Row, and then you've got the imposing Pletcher Barnes sending out the race wild card in the number 6, Black Magic Woman. Let's begin, though. We'll start with prior turf form. And for both Barkley's filly and the Brian Lynch filly by Will Take Charge and Take Charge Row, they've run fine on the grass, and you can see last time out at Keeneland back in the middle of October, this is a filly who was coming in off a lengthy layoff. This was a day, Ronnie, I don't know what day of the week. It might have been a Wednesday we weren't running at Gulfstream West, because I remember watching this race on first bet, and I bet the winner, which was a well-bet Brad Cox firster for Don Alberto Stables. And so the point is, I do think Take Charge Row was clearly beaten by a talented, well-bred filly, and she ran a fine race off that layoff.
Let's show you stat on Brian Lynch with his second after a layoff with maiden special weight runners on the turf. He's solid. He's 18%, 39% in the money, and he's got a positive return of investment. I like that horse for the reasons you mentioned. This horse ran well, don't forget, here in April, and he's got Robbie Alvarado in the saddle this afternoon. And Black Magic Woman, a beautifully bred daughter of Uncle Mo,
who has been a pretty big disappointment to this point, losing a 3-5 first out at Saratoga and then a beaten favorite in her second start on the dirt. Does she, not that she's run awful, she hasn't run all that well, does she just turn things around and run a lot better today? She's got speed, she's got Todd, she's got Edgard, and there are 3 winning older siblings in the family, including 1 turf winner by Warfront. I'm hoping Todd, with the speed, with the grass, brings out the best today in the 6, Black Magic Woman. I would have lost a bet. I saw Barkley's filly by Warfront for Joe Allen on the rail. She's the 1 horse here. And I would have bet any amount of money she would have been your top pick. What's the story here with Barkley's New York Invader? What don't you like about her?
I mean, I just, when I handicapped the race, I go 1, 2, 3, and there was Barkley at 4. That's the way I saw the race. I'm intrigued with the number 3, Summer Returns. It's a half-sister to multiple graded stakes winner Imprimis, stretching out to 7.5 furlongs after rallying to finish second, going 5 across town, Gulfstream Park West. Joe Orsino, boy, he's on fire. Paco in the saddle. I thought maybe this horse stretching out. So I was close between this horse and putting the 3 horse and the 1 horse, in third. But I like Take Charge Row this afternoon.
Let's move on to the 4th main track, 6 horse field, in fact, coming up with this 12-5 3-up filly mare claimer. I'd say upwards or north of 96% of this race. It might even be 97% of this race is basically a 3-horse amalgamation of the 4 Toast and Jam, for who I picked for Kent Sweezy, the 6 who you like in Madame Rouge, who's back on the dirt, and the 7 Florido, who's on the outside. I mean, it looks like a 3-horse race between the 3 of them on paper. I guess the good news is, or the intriguing part, they all look a little bit disparate in terms of their respective resumes on paper.
Yeah, Madame Rouge beating a half limp with trying to dirt up at Delaware, albeit that was a sloppy track, goes back to the main track, encountered trouble on the turn, failed to earn a check on the GP West turf. Amador Sanchez, Luis Saez, you're right about Florado, you're also right about Toast and Jam. I'm going to box these 3 up in an exact and
all right,
try.
You do that, all right? I hope you break even. We'll take a little breather here with the first 4 down. We'll chase the rainbow and a whole lot more in just a second.
two path. Ground first inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 yards out. It's last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Sport of Kings is the promo code. Sign up and wager over at First Bet, whether you're an Android or an Apple user. And it looks like we've got some action there in the infield lake. I just saw a fish jump out there, Ronnie. Have you ever gone fishing?
I have gone fishing in that lake right there one time.
You did?
Yeah, there was a guy, Rob, that worked here one time, and he loved to fish in that lake, and I just went out there and, tried for a little bit. But fishing could be the most boring thing in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's not for me.
I gave it a little shot.
Yeah, no, my father-in-law loves it. It's just, it's not for me. Got some ducks out there. This is, after all, the animal kingdom here at Gulfstream Park. A beautiful day once again, and you saw it from the live shot. Ronnie and Jason back with all of you as we rejoin everybody. Second segment of the broadcast, and for good reason. We've got 3 1/4 guaranteed in today's jackpot Rainbow Six. You had a good hand yesterday, Ronnie, a hot hand with the Claiming Crown races. And what are we doing this afternoon in the Pick Six?
Well, we went up to 48.60 today. We got a single a little later on in the 10th race. I got my long shot starting in here. I'm hoping I get 10-1 on New York Style for Happy Altar, but Luis Saez is in the saddle. So after yesterday, I'm not quite sure. I think they're going to bet this horse, but I also use Alistor and Reliability. And got 3 deep all the way down in race number 6, Teachable Moment, Seize the Hay, and Beyond the Call. Glitter Bay, I think, is a major player in there, but because I had that single, I also used Pink Fizz and Sassy Beat. The 8th race, I'm telling you right now, had me totally, this is one of the best betting races.
Nuts.
Yeah,
it's
nuts.
so hard.
I went with the Choke Bridge, Bean Counter, and All Come True, but there's Senseless Draw. There's so many other horses you can use in there. And if you do have a single like me said later on, maybe you go deeper in there. Northern, Soldali, Killadee, horses face each other all the time. And I'm going to single Hero Tiger in the last race. He's going back to the turf. And I just thought I'd take a shot with Edgar Zayas in the saddle this afternoon, see if he can win the last for me.
No, I like how confident you are that he's going to run big in Hero Tiger. That is a tough race, though, don't you think? The 10th. I know you like that horse, which I respect, and I like how bullish you are on him. But that is a difficult race, don't you think?
It is a difficult race. I just like going back. I think this horse is going to respond going back to the turf, and that's the beauty of these Rainbow Six tickets. You can, mix them around and turn them around because you're only dealing with that 20-cent base wager.
We'll get back to trainer Saffie Joseph Jr. off the bat, and I am very much outside in this race. I feel pretty comfortable in going with the 9 Alistair, and we'll look at his last out turf race, which sits as his only victory to this point, back in tail end of August, which I guess would have been around Travers time, more or less, on a traditional calendar year. And here is this gelding by Wicked Strong, who just wired the field as the favorite, but got a good figure. And he's got a little bit of like a vibe that reminds me of Light Fury, who won here and got bet off the board and won midway through Friday's card. I like this horse coming back for Saffie Joseph Jr. I also believe the 8 Strong-Headed is just a far, far, far better turf horse. I drew a line through his last start off the claim for Mary Epler, and in a spot like this, I just have no issues with the majority of the races that the 8 Strong-Headed has run on the grass. I'm outside, Ronnie. I'm going 9-8. You're taking the 7 in here on top. Your long shot for Happy.
Yeah, 10-1 on the morning line. Going back to the grass today after setting the pace, just getting nipped at the wire when finishing second, beaten ahead. That was going 1.70 across town at Gulfstream Park West. You mentioned Happy Altar. Luis Saez atop this Son of Malibu Moon. I think this horse is going to run. I like Malibu Moons on the turf, and I think this one's going to run well today. I'm hoping to get a price. Alistor, for all the reasons you just shown and mentioned. Then I used Reliability, who was just sharp, defeating $40,000 maidens at Laurel. Didn't run a step on the off-track last time out for Brittany Russell. Edgar Zayas handling that surface switch today. I think this horse by back actually is the morning line favorite today.
What price is my 8 horse in there, Strong-Headed? He can't be a big price,
no.
right?
Strong-Headed is, Strong-Headed is 9-2.
Yeah, I was going to say 5-ish, give or take.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, an interesting race. We'll see how Brittany's horse does, who's clearly getting back on his preferred surface, and that field as a whole obviously goes as the opening leg of today's Rainbow Six. And with that in mind, and with 5 down and 5 to go, we'll dive into my late pick 5 Sunday afternoon play here for $24. I like Glitter Bay quite a bit, and a lot of people are going to like that Tamar Coos filly, who just, from her 2 races, into her third, it just looked like we were dealing with a completely different filly who just finally grew up and buried a field. An easier field than what she's running against today, but I like the figure. I liked how much she dominated and like her to wire as the 2-to-1 morning line favorite as sort of my anchor in this $24 play. Ronnie was saying how difficult the 8th race is, and boy, I got 4 there, Ronnie. That's a race I was thinking, can I come on the air and just bang out the all button? That actually crossed my mind a couple of different times trying to figure out this play this afternoon.
Yeah, it's so great, that race. So there's just so many different ways to go, and that's the beauty of these turf races at Gulfstream. They're just so much fun to bet. You could go 6 deep, and I still wouldn't feel comfortable.
No, I'm with you on that. 6th race, you've got 2 horses that are going to take the bulk of the play here. And on paper, the 3 Teachable Moment, who we both picked, and I don't think you're getting anywhere near 4-to-1 on him, layoff aside, and the number 12, Seize the Hay, who now goes from stall number 11. They are the 2 best-looking horses, most interesting horses on paper. There's always a but, though, and things are never that easy. And both of these horses, with Seize the Hay going out for Todd Pletcher and Mike Maker setting out our top pick, the 3-horse, Teachable Moment, they both come into this race with issues where in the case of Teachable Moment, I mean, what's your story with the horse, Ronnie, who has not run in 15 days shy of a 12-month layoff?
Well, he's always faced better on the turf, and he's dropping to the 20 level and going back to the grass. First start, he finished that distant 4th, going a mile into 16th. But as you mentioned, it was last December. Mike Maker, Tyler Gaffleone, and I just thought Seize the Hay, because of the post, I think this one might have been on top of my ticket, so I'm going to put it in second. The obvious concern, Todd Pletcher, and then beyond the call for Kathy Ridvo, who's also getting some class relief this afternoon.
But again, much like the Mike Maker horse we just talked about, layoff isn't as lengthy per se, but Kathy Ridvo's horse, the 4 Beyond the Call, first start in about 9 months. But clearly regarding prior turf form, you would think he'd be a good fit here running off that layoff for $20K this afternoon. Let's move on to race number 7. We'll get back on the main track. We'll move on to Glitter Bay, who we both picked as an obvious favorite and filly to beat. And here she is, just a little bit of a window dressing regarding this replay. A very sloppy track about a week before Halloween. And as I was saying, from her first 2 starts where she just didn't run all that well, I get this was a race she was running for maiden 32, and her 2 previous races were against Special Weight Company. But from her speed to the fact that she just obliterated this field, I truly believe in the interim between September 6th and this race October 25th, Glitter Bay turned the corner, and I like that Safi, Ronnie, although she ran in a maiden claiming race last time out, I like that Safi doesn't run her back in a claiming race. I think that may speak to his confidence this afternoon.
Well, the 2 changes there was the drop to the 32 level and the addition of blinkers, so both worked very well. Edgard going for 2 in a row in there. Pink Fizz is another stepping into the winners category today after putting it all together when defeating those 20 maidens by 6 widening lengths. Antonio Paco returning on the daughter of Dialed In. Thought maybe that horse could run okay in that spot.
Let's move on to the main event today, and what a featured 8th race it is on the turf as we go a mile with this 3-and-up filly mare allowance optional claimer. And not entirely surprised. Yeah, there's a couple of numbers that match up there and colors as far as our respective supers, but we're in different camps here, and for good reason. I mean, this race is just wide open. I'm not sure, Ronnie, we're dealing with the favorite maybe lower than 3-to-1 or even 7-to-2 when the dust settles here in today's 8th race.
I would be surprised unless there's some word out on a horse or something like that, coming in, one of them that have been laid off, or the Euro shipper from Graham Motion. So I just think it's a great betting race, and I went with the one in here, Choate Bridge, who's turning back to the mile. The first start since finishing 4th behind a repeat winner called Lucky Money. Was a 9-furlong allowance. Brendan Walsh, I really respect his work. Corey Lannery named to ride, but I see you have the 7 all come true on top of your ticket.
And Brendan, by the way, runs not 1 but 2. He's got your top pick along with the 10 in Sea of Blue, the Godolphin homebred by Midshipman, who's returning here to Gulfstream. Things have not gone well or swimmingly for this filly since a pretty impressive turf debut last early February over this course for then-trainer Kira McLaughlin. But I liked her that day, and I know there's talent there, and she's got some speed. So I'm gonna give a look to the 10 Sea of Blue. But maybe in a lot of respects, the most interesting horse in the race is one that's never started in this country, nor has had an afternoon race or afternoon experience in well over a year. In fact, over about 14 months for the 7 All Come True, who's the Euro in this spot for Grand Motion. This was something I talked about yesterday, and although it didn't work in the first race, I think that horse ran third, that Panagia Proxima. You know, the percentages with H Grand Motion teaming up and reaching out for Luis Saez, they're pretty lofty percentages when those guys team up together. And I was playing around too, Ronnie, with Formulator, and I'm not surprised you found a stat that works on the positive side of the coin here with this French-bred filly. We'll look at that stat, and you can tell us about it with the 7 All Come True.
Well, it's just foreign shippers on the turf for Graham. And he's done it 65 times, and he's pretty good, 26%, 54% in the money, 275. He's still got a return on investment, and he gets these horses that come from Europe, and this horse ran very well, but as you mentioned, a long time ago, but I would never even think of leaving this horse off my ticket.
And 16 of the 17 winners in that sample on that stat were all getting first-time Lasix as Euro shippers, and this filly is indeed getting Lasix today, and that stuff in my mind works pretty well. You've got that horse third. Do we get a situation, or at least a version of the 9 Bean Counter where she's a bit happier and maybe more of a factor stretching back out in distance? I don't know about her really sprinting on the grass. Not that she ran terribly. I'm going to argue, Ronnie, and I guess like you, she's going to run or has a right to run better getting back around 2 turns.
Yeah, she was really impressive going a mile on the Saratoga turf. She stretches out. She showed some late interest in a pair of allowance sprints up north. I like her much better at a mile. Todd's reaching out for Paco today. You don't see that very often in that race. So that was something that I was really curious with, and see how Paco, and maybe they're thinking of putting this horse, up on the engine this afternoon or thereabouts.
No, it's a good point, and that even goes for Monmouth. And looking at the stats, you would think, and not that Todd runs a gazillion horses in Jersey, but he has at numerous times had a string at Monmouth and does ship there with some regularity. And, I hadn't noticed that, Ronnie. That's a very interesting point there with Paco riding that horse for Mr. Todd Pletcher. Moving back to the main track for the 9th, we'll get fairly late in the program here, and I feel pretty confident and comfortable saying this 6250 claimer for older horses on the dirt. This is almost a continuation of maybe the Claiming Crown Iron horse that we had late yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, these are hard-knocking campaigners, and you just don't, how these horses, they just keep beating each other and running exceptionally well. So I went with Northern on top, and you can go with Killer D like you did. Of course, we got the same basic 3 boxed up in our tribe.
We do, but it is far more than just a 3-horse affair between Northern and the inside posted number 1, Soldali. I wanted to give some props and acknowledgement to a few of these horses, led off by Northern, and as a result, I pulled his last start. I just, when horses like him and French Quarter show up, and Dr. Harlan's in this race as well, and he'll eventually close pretty gamely to finish second behind Northern. But man, oh man, this is a Florida bred. This horse Northern, who's on the lead in the blue cap, Florida bred son of Adios Charlie, 16 for 39 in his career. He is 6 for 11 in 2020. And no matter who puts the saddle on, Ronnie, he just runs. I got a lot of respect for Northern, and clearly you do as well, because you picked him on top. And I would imagine you're looking to blast off and wire this thing with him.
Yeah, reclaimed by Kathy Mungeon, going back to his favorite surface, as you just gave him all those stats, a 9-time local winner. This is the race that, I like Northern, but as you mentioned, you got to have Soldali, at least I do, and your horse you have on top, Killer D.
Yeah, Soldali for 6250 is a very good fit, and a wise move. I mean, this is stating the obvious, but Killer D, had next to no chance running against, had they stayed in and run against Christo Sky and that crew in the Express yesterday, and he would have been probably north of 50-1. This is more like it, and although he lost last time out at 1-5, I'm going to argue, Ronnie, today that he doesn't want, First of all, he probably didn't show up with one of his better efforts, but most importantly, I don't think he wants to go 6.5 furlongs. I think that extra 16th is like trying to scale Mount Everest for him.
Yeah, I expect him to run much better than he did across town. So we'll see how that plays out for Mr. Rohan Crichton.
Race number 10, Mile on the Turf. You're very much a fan of the 5 Hero Tiger, who I don't know if I missed, but this is a very difficult race as we close things out. And I don't know if you have, again, sort of a clear horse to beat scenario in this spot. I am, for better or for worse, I'm putting a lot of stock, and I gave the edge to 2 horses that are coming out of a pretty tight blanket finish fairly late in the autumn season over at Gulfstream West, and we're going to look at that replay right now concerning Rule Yourself. Got a great ride from Sammy Camacho, and he's basically at this point in tandem with Cash Call Kitten, who was right off his flank for trainer Joe Orsino. Rule Yourself, as I was saying, Sammy had this horse covered up inside. He'll start to split horses here with those black blinkers, and he'll just lose a really tough one to the Mighty Judge, who was a favorite in this race for Jane Sabelli and was coming in with good out-of-town form. You see Cash Call Kitten kind of clunking up for third there. He didn't threaten the top 2, but here's the thing, Ronnie, with Cash Call Kitten. Since then, Joe Orsino has become just searing hot, and as you like to usually point to, I mean, how good has this horse been throughout his career right here at Gulfstream on this turf course?
Yeah, a 6-time winner on the local term returns, looking to turn that his stalking close style, which I like, into another victory here in Hallandale Beach for Joe. Victor LeBron atop this hard-knocking 5-year-old son of Kitten's Joy, but I did go with the 5 in here, Hero Tiger, and I'll tell you why. He's going back to the turf after finishing a bang-up second to Avant-Garde, a winning machine, who actually won the Rapid Transit yesterday. That was a 16-starter optional claimer going a 2-turn mile in the slop across town. The gelding's 2 for 3 in the money on the turf. Edgar Zayas in the saddle. I like him going back to the turf. I'm looking for a little bit of a price. And, you know, I had a single somewhere to make my ticket affordable, and this runs the way I think it's going to run.
Yeah.
I have a lot of coverage in the earlier races.
No, and your opinion has been good of late. It was really good the last couple of weeks over at Gulfstream West, and you had a great day here yesterday. So I'm going to go back and absolutely take another look at the number 5 Hero Tiger with that early speed and with jockey Edgar Zayas. Will speed, in fact, right into the lightning round on day number 5 of the championship season. A lot of ground to cover over the next few minutes, beginning, of course, with a little bit of a Claiming Crown wrap-up and concerning ourselves with the real centerpiece of the day, and that was the Claiming Crown Jewel, which had a mega favorite at around 2 to 5 or so. In fact, 2 to 5 on the nose with Jesus' team. What'd you think of this performance, Ronnie, in which this horse got a 97 buyer?
I thought he was ultra game in here because, number one, had to be closer to the turf. To the speed, excuse me. And he had to sort of make 2 moves in the race in there instead of where it usually likes to come running late. So I thought the barn was really smart to get this horse closer to the pace throughout, and he had to grind it out. And I think he's going to move forward. I think it's going to set him up perfectly for whatever he wants to do down the road, you know, because when if he goes to the Pegasus, he's going to have a lot more speed to run that in there. And there's no way you leave this horse off your try or super or something like that.
No, and the numbers and just the efforts he's put forth, I mean, he is in the running for like claiming horse or former claiming horse of the year. An unbelievable story, which is obviously not done just yet with Jesus' team and his 97 buyer in the Claiming Crown Jewel. And it's a very Pegasus-centric, you know, first 2 topics here as we take a quick look at the stretch run of the Cigar Mile yesterday in the Big Apple with Kendrick Carmouche notching his first ever career Grade 1 victory, which is great. And do we see this horse, Ronnie, running in his 3rd consecutive Pegasus dirt race late next month?
Well, you would think with Jack Sisterton having a string down here, it would be a good spot. He was just very impressive. Now, it was an off track, and there was some scratches in that race, but he still just won it so impressively. You mentioned Kendrick Carmouche gets his first Grade 1 win, and he's a good rider, boy. You know, we always had a guy outside our office when we run, he'd be singing, "Come on, Carmouche, come on, Carmouche." I always remember that guy, so I'm rooting for that horse maybe to run in the Pegasus.
No, to know Kendrick is to like Kendrick, and it was nice even on social media and Twitter and stuff. People seem really happy for him after riding for about 2 decades to see him notch his first Grade 1 win. A 7th to City of Light 2 years ago, and 8th to Mucho Gusto last January is the 3rd time the charm perhaps coming back to Gulfstream for the Pegasus for True Timber. Luis Saez, outside of Jesus' team, maybe the number one star and gold star yesterday was planted upon Luis Saez, who walked away with a six-bagger. And here he is, Ronnie. I mean, you had 7 on top winners yesterday, and here's your 7th. That was an insane photo for Brad Cox in the last race.
You know, we come up with the star of the week or the day, and I had to go with Luis Saez. Not only did he win 6 races, he won 5 claiming crown races, including that one with Frost and Fippery, and he won with Jakarta, which I thought was a really hard performance because that horse broke flat-footed, had to come flying late, and you could just go down the line. And, of course, he was on the horse you like a lot yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. Who's that?
Fire.
Oh, Fire. Yeah. Fire, who we'll get to in a second here, without a doubt. Standings. What do we run? 41 races to this point. 4 cards complete, 41 races in the books, and we've been treated to some outstanding, world-class riding so far. Mainly, of course, led by both Louis and Edgard, who are tied currently with 7 wins.
Yeah, Edgard, we've been singing his praise about how he rides on the turf, and what does he do yesterday? He wins with a horse at $110. So, that's just the beauty of this meet. For a Safi, who was 12-1 in the morning line, and there was just so many different ways to go. People sort of forgot about it a little bit, including me.
We've got 10 races today, so opening week not complete yet. But as of now, you had to give a week's number one star, a top performer. For me, Ronnie kind of teased it a little bit. It's going to be Fire, who was very good yesterday, coming to Gulfstream and just running them off their feet in the Canterbury. 96 buyer for this Maryland bred, and I spoke with owner Rob Masiello, who bought this horse at auction for $400,000 earlier this year. And he said, if there's one race I really want to win in 2021, it's the Jaipur on Belmont Stakes Day. And it sounds like that's going to be kind of the long-term goal for Fire, but he was very good yesterday. Who's your number one star of the week so far?
Well, going back, it was Luis Saez with those 6 wins, including the 5 claiming crown races, which, just incredible. He won with Jakarta, he won with Queen's Embrace, just on and on. What a day for to win, and not only to win 5 of our stakes races on that afternoon. So Louis gets my vote this week.
And what are we doing as far as the Sunday BB, the Nicoletti best off the bat? Are we taking Hero Tiger in the last? It sounds like you really like him.
Yeah, that's you figured it out. That's my best bet of the afternoon, and we just mentioned why. I teed off Avant Garde, who was a nice win yesterday in the Rapid Transit. This one, I just like him going back to the turf today. I love the connections. Love Edgard Zayas riding the way he's riding on the turf. So try and get that one home on top.
And I'll be the chalk-eating weasel here on the broadcast. For me, it's Glitter Bay. I'm going to be disappointed if she doesn't run a gigantic race. She can lose, but, I really think she's going to run a big one this afternoon in the 7th, and my late pick 5 single. Rainbow Six, my friend, speaking of Ronnie's best bet and my best bet and potential singles, why not dive in this afternoon for 20 cents?
Yeah, $325,000. Just amazing to me how this thing just builds. It's only been, not even a week yet in 5 days of racing, and we already have 325.
And Mother Nature, once again, very kind to us as we see some work being done on the main track here. Just 26 minutes out from the turf opener. Beautiful day, wouldn't you say, here in Hallandale Beach?
Fantastic, and it's going to be a great day of racing. Can't wait to bet that 8th race.
Absolutely. As we take a little breather here, our last order of business, we'll set the table and throw it on up to the big man upstairs, Pete Aiello, for those Sunday scratches and changes.